here. We break down the media's effect on civic engagement and public perception, but more importantly, we go behind the headlines and really talk about those kitchen table issues that you all really are at the center of, and that are talking about, frankly, in the street, in your homes, at work, and other places, of course. And today, I'm so excited because we're talking about music and centering music in the conversation for racial justice, for equity, and of course, Black joy. The BAMS, or Boston Art and Music Festival, was founded in 2015 by Catherine Morris and started with just 4 artists, she tells me, performing in what was normally an outdoor event. And now they work with 400 artists and really had to pivot because of the pandemic, like so many of us have had to. Performances were filmed at Big Night Live Music Club, that's over where the TD Garden is, for a visual streaming experience through August. You know, my interview with Catherine, that'll be later in the show, but first, so pumped, so excited. Joining us in conversation are artists Miranda Ray and John Hope. And you can see them this summer in that streaming series as part of the Amplify the Soul Series. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
What's up? What's up?
Thank you.
So I really want to talk about, you know, how you all got into music and what it brings to you. So I want to go ahead and start with Miranda on that. Miranda, what really brought you to music? What does it do for you?
I think I've always been surrounded by music. Shout out to my parents. They're like the main foundation for my musical journey. Even my father, like, he's always like showing me music from different cultures, backgrounds. So it's just like, I've always been surrounded by it. I also took lessons for instruments, but like singing has always been like the number one for me. And then I kind of got the courage to just, at an open mic one time, to just go up on stage and sing. And then from that point on, I just never stopped singing, so.
I've already felt this feeling before. That's why I am so unsure. Let me open up for you, baby. I just wanna feel you. Ow. Ooh. Why do I feel the same thing, but it means something? Fall in love and do the same thing. Oh, why do I feel the same thing, but the person's different? Fall in love and do the same thing. Oh, why do
It's very important to me. It's definitely, music helps me mellow out and, you know, fix my mood, whether it was happy or sad. It just, you know, always can't go wrong with music.
Absolutely. John, talk to me about your music journey.
Yeah, much like what Miranda said, my mother was a big foundation and a big inspiration and a vessel for um, my musical beginnings and my musical journey. I'm African. I'm West African from Liberia and Sierra Leone, and so my mom came with a lot of that influence in the household. And ironically, hip hop wasn't really initially welcomed, around that time, So my introduction was very much like 80s, music, like Peter Gabriel, Billy Ocean, Janet, Michael Jackson, you know what I mean? A lot of that, George Michael, things of that nature. And then it evolved. And I would say The thing that I really appreciate about my mother was the diversity in the music. So that really opened me up, and it really helped me, even now with when you talk about hip hop culture, that tends to be very we tend to be very short-sighted and ageist, and so forth. And for me, I didn't really care where the music was coming from, who did it, as long as it was jamming, I'm with it. You know what I mean? And I have to thank my mother for that, because she just, she really showed me the diversity that really helped me as a songwriter, as an artist, and just as an overall person. I think playlisting and exchange of music is a love language.
Toys as a baby boy. When I closed my eyes, I was counting stars. House small, but I'm dreaming big. Second hand, I inhaled the cig, inhaled the weed and the broken glass. I was never first, I was born to last, my nigga. Lemon squeeze that trigger, bullets fly, they whistle. School of thought is dismissal, but I miss you. Really, I miss my dog. So much pain, I wish I loved. Funerals, I kiss that cause. Pay my dues and I split that cause. Away with words and I won't get caught.
You know what I'm saying? And you can kind of, I don't want to say I'll judge, but you know what I mean? Like, you can kind of get an understanding of how someone is, the type of music that they in or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If they're only strictly the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? If they have that type of time, I kind of get a gauge of, what, the other aspects or what other perspectives that you may have. Sounds a little bit shallow, but, that's just how I am. But, it's all rooted in my mother.
When you both heard that, the festival and this particular series had to pivot because of the pandemic, how did you prepare for what normally I imagine for you all is, a live performance? There are like, thousands of people there, things like that.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep it that way. Yeah, so I was kind of like, but I already it's been 2020, even in 2021. So it's kind of just like the new norm. So I kind of try to make it into a positive thing, because it's like, for me, a lot of times when I do live performances, I don't get these quality visuals. So it's like all these, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like all these virtual things are giving me these quality, basically a portfolio of me. So I just, I was like, I've been working with this band Megazoid, so that's who I performed with at the Amplify Soul Fest. I don't know if it's a fest, but yeah, so we were practicing, we were rehearsing, and they were like, you're only gonna get one take. And I was like, that sounds like pressure, but it's kind of like when you go do a live show, you only get one take. So, you know what I mean? So I was like, just bring it, and whatever comes of it, comes with it. And I know that everybody's performance was beautiful, because the vibe was just amazing. So.
Yeah. So for me, I was apprehensive initially, because, with these live streaming performances, for me, the biggest concern has always been the production value. And so, because once that trend started to begin at the top of the pandemic, I was just seeing people perform in their closet, in their kitchen, and the audio is off and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So you can't really hear nothing. And the thing, and the reason why I'm so high on that is because as rappers, our talent is very subtle, you know, like I don't have a guitar and so forth. And I don't, you know, I don't really perform with a band. I perform with a DJ, you know what I'm saying? So like, if my mic is not right, then you're not really going to hear what I'm going to have to say, the message and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was all about the production value. And once they assured me, you know, that they're really, you know, this is an all out production, you know, where it was located and so forth, I was highly encouraged. And then, you know, after that, it was just, you know, smooth sailing, you know. But, you know, initially I was definitely like, hold up, man, you know, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm glad I pushed through.
So talk to me about how you prepare for something like this, though, because you all usually prepare for live shows. So how do you prepare for something that's, you know, recorded or streaming?
I think for me, preparing for a live stream is a little bit different because you have to act like there's someone in front of you. And I had to get used to that. And that's the number one thing that was like really messing with my mind. Like, I know no one noticed, but I did like an MFA live stream. And there was like probably 10 people in the room, but they were production. So I was like, cool, maybe they'll like, you know, clap for me. So I'm like doing this big performance and then I'll sing and then it's just like silent. And then I'm like, all right, next song. But it's like, but they were being silent because they didn't want to bleed into the audio. So it's like, I had to like think like, okay, someone's going to watch this a couple months from now and they're going to be at their home cheering. So I have to like engage with the camera or engage, like, you know, practice, like, not even practice, but just like mentally prepare yourself that no one is going to give you the validation that this was a good performance like a crowd would. You get it later when they watch it. So like, that's the only thing that's like messing with my mind a little bit. But I think it also like taught me to be more like present on stage, like giving better of a stage presence, because that's something, you know, I try to work on and try to be better at by watching my favorite artists or like getting advice. So that's definitely one thing I had to prepare for.
I think for me, you know, it wasn't too much of an issue. I've done it before. You know, I think there's an element of I don't know if acting is the word, but you know what I mean. You have to act like there's a crowd there, that you're getting that feedback. And so I was definitely prepared for that. You know, so it wasn't too much of a transition. Only thing was like just like the additional stuff, like, you know, they were filming you in the dressing room and, you know, you got to walk out and do another take and act like, you know, things of that nature. So, you know, that was, you know, I was like, man, I'm trying to prepare. And they were like, so can you just jump up and down, you know, in the waiting room and this, that. And I'm like, man, you know, I'm trying to get focused. But outside of that, man, it was cool. It wasn't too bad.
So when you're selecting songs for something like this, do you change up the way you do things in terms of, you know, maybe you're going to choose songs that maybe don't need as much audience participation and things like that?
For my performance, I did do something a little bit different. My MD, Marco Marcel, who's the bass player, he wanted us to do kind of like an award show live performance type thing where the songs just bleed into each other. So that was really cool because it gave me kind of like less talking time, but like, you know, really dope a performance set. So it was cool of the transitions because it wasn't like any pausing, like, all right, here's the next, all right, here's the next one. It was just kind of like, you know, we vibe out, I could say whatever I had to say, and then we go right into the next group.
Ooh, yeah. Who are you? Why'd you come into my life, knowing that my mind ain't right? Stop saying the right things at the right times, fixing the wrongs that cross my mind, contemplating with myself, but I never seen you before. you crawl before you walk away. Yeah, I've already felt this feeling before. That's why I am so unsure. Let me open up for you, baby. I just wanna feel you out. Ooh, why do I feel the same thing, but it means something? Fall in love and do the same thing. Oh, why do I feel the same thing, but the person's different? Fall in love and do the same thing.
So that was kind of cool. It felt kind of like Grammy Award vibes, you know what I'm saying? So, and the big stage also added to that, you know what I'm saying, John? Yeah, because it was really dope. Like,
that's preparation for your Grammy performance, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was preparation. It was like the transitions were so smooth. So I was just like, I'm really excited to see like the finished product. And then like the only thing I saw was like the little preview clip, and I'm just like, we look so good. But it's like, you know, I want to see it.
That's what's up. That's
yeah,
what's
you
up.
could go.
And no, I mean, you know, I think for me, I made sure that I wanted to have songs that kind of were in line and aligned with the message of the show of the festival. You know what I'm saying? So I did do the talking in between the songs.
It's okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to really like again. I think for me, you know, as a rapper, you know, that I wanted to make sure that the message and what I, you know, my brand, you know, what, you know, the John Hope message is clearly articulated. And so I wanted to make sure that not only within the songs, but the transition of the songs, the setting up the context and so forth was potent, you know.
I was notified when the money talks with a bad ting from the Ivory Coast. Yellow hair with the brown skin, she in public, want my private parts. Tolerate no disrespect. 100 wolves coming at your neck. You see the splash, peep the drip. The ink is dry, all we need is this. I've been meaning just to tell you that my soul is not soul. From the muddy waters running with that homicide glow. If I told you how I made it, you won't believe the truth. If they wonder how I did it, say it's the flow is smooth. I've been meaning just to tell you that my soul is not soul. From the muddy waters running with that homicide glow. If I told you how I made it, you won't believe the truth. If they wonder how I did it, say it's the flow is smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, Amplify the Soul uses the musical experience to elevate Black and Brown artists and folks who spent the last year or more on the front lines of racial equity, social justice, economic empowerment. I spoke with Catherine Morris in our conversation, and she said, really, there wasn't a place in Boston where, you know, Black and Brown folks were highlighting their talent. We're showing the community, we're basically showing the country that there's talent in this space, and that Black and Brown folks can celebrate and center even the hardest things, like when we're talking about racial justice over the last year and a half, in joy and in music. When you all are creating, do you think about that, or have you thought about that over this last year, given, you know, the real racial reckoning that this country has had?
Yeah, I definitely think about that all the time, because as a creative, it was really messing with my mental capacity to just create, because it was just so negative. And then it's just like, how do you turn something positive like this when there is no positive outcome, instead of just like, if they just keep tearing you down. So it's just like, how could you bring yourself up in a time where they're trying to bring you down? And you just have to remember, like, you know, if when we all come together, there's a purpose. And, you know, we definitely saw that with like Amplify Soul, how we just brought all of us together, even through a time where, you know, we can't technically be together, but all the creatives, you know, doing what they love. I personally haven't created anything in the aspect of talking about the social injustice, but I have done other things like, you know, what's it called? Sorry, petitioning. I was a little weary of the protests, so I didn't go, but you know, I did share them and stuff like that. But it's just a weird time, and it's just kind of like, you know, I just didn't know what to do. Yeah. Sorry.
Nah, don't, you know, don't be sorry. If I may, like, I feel like, you know, with what Miranda just shared, you know, that's totally fine that you didn't have to speak on the injustices and things of that nature. Like, I just feel like one of the things that I really appreciate about this festival, but is that, you know, it's diverse voices within the Black and brown experience and musically. I don't really want to be relegated to like just Black struggle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be reduced. You know, so like if Miranda, you know, anybody, myself included, is decides not to, because you know, the thing is, right? Like, so I'm a professor, you know what I'm saying? And so I have, you know, degrees or whatever you want to call it, right? You know, but really my lived experience qualifies me. Like, it, you know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, like, you know, Miranda, your lived experience qualifies you. You don't need to vocalize that. Like, you don't need to, you know, validate that through your music. Like, you know, if anything, you know, talk about Black joy, talk about whatever. We could be ratchet, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't, you know, right? Like, we need to like get all, like, remove the burden of like those tropes, you know what I'm saying? Now, if you want to partake in that and so forth, 1000%. But I think for me, like, I ain't really for the whole struggle Olympics, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to, and that's heavy in the rap game, and I get it, you know what I mean? But I'm at a place now where the music that I've been creating is just trying to show another perspective, you know what I'm saying? And another, like, you know, just growth, right? The culture itself is about to be 50 years old. So like, I want to kind of reflect that to some degree. Like, yo, we don't need it. It doesn't have to be just, yo, projects on the corner, cops shooting at us, whoop-de-whoop. That is a reality, but that's not the totality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, I don't want to curse, but like, I'm not trying to like, it doesn't mean that I'm selling out or whatever, because I'm a project baby. That's a fact. And anybody that follows me comes from Providence. You know, I'm not from Boston, I'm from Providence. You know, people understand John Hope, like, they know my story, right? Foster care, all that, you know, and I spent a lot of my time in my career talking about those things, right? And it was therapeutic and it was very warranted. But now I'm at a place like, yo, man, you know, I got a daughter. You know, I own property. Like, you know, I do, you know, I'm traveling the world, whatever, you know what I mean? So like, I think for me, it's about like stretching that narrative. And I don't need to, because, you know, George Floyd, Breonna, those are the extremes and those are the romanticized versions that we tend to grapple on, right? But what about the microaggressions that I gotta go through every damn day that chip away, or at least attempt to, at my existence? You know what I'm saying? When I teach, or when I see students that are in PWIs and they gotta, you know, they gotta worry about, like, you know, if my sister wears her hair natural, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. Like, that shit happens more times than what we're talking about, right? The Floyd and the Breonna Taylors and all that stuff. So for me, it's just about like, you know, stretching that narrative, you know, understanding that there are diverse voices within the Black music diaspora, you know what I'm saying? And that's it. Sorry for the rant, but
No,
No.
I understand it.
No, I definitely thank you for like, you know, validating, you know, like what I said, because it's just like, you know, I do talk about like mental health, and I do talk about like, you know, look other things, because there's other things that matter. And I also think like music in general helped me get through the pandemic.
Facts.
Not even my music, just like listening to music,
Right.
like, you know what I mean? So there's other ways to express yourself.
Yeah.
I'm curious though, how do you rise above it? How do you get through the noise? Because we know that every day we were seeing, you know, Black and brown people were the headlines of the news, whether they were at a protest or being killed by police. How do you continue to be creative in that space? Continue to, you know, live your truth, you know, John, in that you don't want to always talk about some of this struggle. How do you do that when the media is bombarding folks with these messages and images?
I just stopped watching.
Yeah. I mean,
I literally stopped
Yeah.
watching.
exactly.
Like I turned off my social media for like a whole month or and a half. And I know like, oh, you're supposed to be like, that's the one thing I don't like being an artist, is like I have to post every day. But it's like, how am I supposed to post every day if all I'm seeing on my timeline is like blood, fights, riots? Like I don't want to see that every day. So it's like I had to shut off my phone. And I had to stop watching the news, because it's like the news is painting this scary narrative of us, but then glorifying the other narrative when they riot. So it's like, I can't watch that. It's like, you guys are trying to create a war.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're trying to create a war when it's like, we know there's a war, but it's like, you're really instigating it. And I just can't watch the instigation anymore. So I just cut off my phone. I did write a song during pandemic. I mean, I wrote a couple songs, but this one song that means a lot to me is called Moonlight. And I do talk about like, you know, society, like putting you in this box is giving me anxiety. And it's just like, you know, just finding a place where you're just safe, and it's underneath the moonlight. For me, I like being on the beach underneath the moonlight. There's no beach in Massachusetts, but I mean, there is, but there's not really a beach. I used to live in Florida, so I'm talking about a Florida beach underneath the moonlight with some cheap wine. It's just like some place where you can just be yourself, be calm, and not be judged for your looks. I'm plus size, so people judge me on social media all the time, and it's just like, I just have to delete the comment. Like, I'm not gonna leave it there for anybody to see. I'm not gonna leave it for anybody to judge me. It's just like, you know, this is my page. I'm just gonna be honest, like, you know. So it's just like, I just try to continue to be honest, to continue to be true to myself, you know, to my music. And that's all I can do, is be Miranda Ray at the end of the day. So just cut it off.
I think for me, you know, I know who I am, right? I'm very certain about who I am. So I don't really look externally, you know. And then, you know, I think we're in a place now, the way we consume media, I'm mindful about my consumption. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really believe in mindful consumption. So, you know, I'm not with the trauma porn and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, my lived experience, I know already, right? I was beat by police at 12 years old. You know, like, so I know who I am. So I just focus on like what's gonna be an asset and what's gonna nourish me, you know, mentally, emotionally, and physically. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it is. I just know who I am.
Honesty.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important, because I think oftentimes when folks have any type of platform, whether it be music, you know, I'm a journalist, I think that people feel like you have a responsibility to, you know, speak out on these issues, or take a stance, or be a model minority for folks, or any of those kinds of things. You know, you all are in a music space. I think it's easy for people to pigeonhole you into R&B or rap or whatever, and be very like, oh, this is what Black people do, and so the Black people have to also speak out in the struggle and be that one. How do you all deal with that in the industry? Especially the bigger you get, the more expectation you have to be something, to be in a box.
I think you just have to make sure you're good first. before you try to go help other people. Like me getting off social media for a whole month just so I don't have to see that kind of stuff doesn't mean I don't care, doesn't mean I'm not gonna support or help the community, but it's like I can't mentally check in if I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to mentally be okay before I mentally help someone else. And that's a lot of energy, even if though, and a lot of the one thing about you know, last year was just hard because you can't even go somewhere to like forget about it. It's just like you're stuck in your house and you're living in it. So it's just like there's no escape. There was no escaping any of that energy. So I just feel like for you to be able to do that kind of stuff in the industry, you just have to make sure that you're okay first. And then you can, you know, post it, share it. But I tried to post like positive things, like here's what Black people have done throughout our lifetime. That's not anything negative. Like let's talk about what have we done that's positive. Like where have we grown? How can we grow? Like anytime I see something about retail, it's like I'm all about generational wealth right now. Like how you said you own property and all that stuff. Like that's the where we need to be going. Like we don't need to be backtracking and doing the same things. Like my parents don't own homes. It's like I want to be the generation that owns a home. Like so my kids can learn from that. It's like credit scores, all that kind of stuff. It's like that's the stuff we need to be learning in school, but instead we have to learn it in the real world. And it's like how can we educate our community to be better instead of bringing us back? So
I second that. I second all of that. I think you know, yeah, you have to make sure that you good first, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. And and like, you know, again, I think for me, um those initiatives or that expectation, um my response to that is, you know, just understand that just because it doesn't look like, just because I'm not marching, just because I'm not, you know, doesn't mean that I'm not for the cause or whatever. There are multiple ways, you know, to engage in social justice, and also understand your strengths. You know what I mean? One of the reasons why I left higher ed was because, you know, once I got to that a particular level, I saw, it's almost like I saw the way the food was cooked. You know, I saw all these policies and all this other stuff that were directly impacting Black and brown students for early withdrawal, and retention rates were so low. And the easy thing is to be like, well, you know, why are the Black students dropping out? So, you know, well, you know, let's look at these policies and these, you know, all these things. And once I realized, you know, how oppressive, you know, a lot of these institutions are, you know, I realized that I didn't want to deal in that space. I'm more so, I want to deal directly, you know, on the ground, one-on-one. You know, change doesn't necessarily, the change that people want, a lot of people, we're conditioned to think we want this grandiose, you know, the world is going to change in 5 minutes, you know what I'm saying? But the world could change through somebody watching this interview, right? You know, planting that seed and things of that nature. So for me, I realized that my strength is really, you know, one-on-one, you know, developing young minds, you know, through, you know, my programs and workshops and, you know, my music and things of that nature. You know, I don't need to be, you know, David Banner or Trader Truth, you know, walking and marching. You know, that's good. That's what they do, but this is what I do. I know my tools, I know my resources, I know my strengths. So I think, you know, when you say the word expectation, I just, you know, my response is like, yo, don't expect, you know, don't put that on me, because I'm going to do what Hope does. You know what I'm saying? And if I fall short, that's on you. You know, that's because you thought I was going to do something else. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Well, you know, you both again have performances that are coming up as part of this series that goes through August. Talk to me about what kind of feeling you want folks to have as they experience your music.
I want them to vibe out and dance. And if they know the words, I want them to sing along.
Yeah,
And I want them to be like, ooh, she's really amplifying soul. You know what I'm saying?
man. Yeah.
So it's like, I love R&B, I love neo soul, I love live music. Even if it's not live, I love bands, like instrumentation. So it's just like, just to see everybody's talent on the stage, even if I hit a flat note, hopefully I didn't, but you know. But it's like, you know, I want you to be like, dang, she really felt that flat note. So it's just like, all of that is just like what I hope is embodied in the performance. And I'm excited to see. I saw my little clip in the preview, like I said, and I was like, oh, she's so cute. So I was like, okay, I'm really excited for the outcome. I think I saw you too. Were you wearing the yellow sweater?
I'm wearing the yellow,
Yeah, see, I saw you too, and I was like, okay, we got a rapper, and it's cool because it's like you got a rapper, you got Spanish singers, you got a singer rapper, so it's like and you got like Brandy Blaze, a female rapper, so it's just like there's so many different aspects of, you know, Black and brown music that's just like I'm excited to see everybody's. And I think last night it started with Danny, so it's like, you know, it's already kicked off, so I'm excited for mine's on the 25th. So I'm excited to see that one. So yeah.
I think I'm in July.
You're in July. See, we have to like anticipate and wait the whole summer.
Yeah, right. You know?
I'm like,
well, the whole schedule is on bamsfest.org. So, you know, for folks who are listening and want to know exactly when to see, you know, Miranda's performance and John's performance, you know, make sure you go and check that out.
Just tune in on every Friday.
Every Friday at 8 o'clock. Yeah,
every
Friday at 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think what I want people to get is that THS. You know, that's like my mantra, right? That hope shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I want people to be inspired to, you know, when they see my performance, I want you to, the biggest takeaway is to be inspired to improve your quality of life. You know, that's just really what it is. You know, THS. You know, that's it.
Excellent. Well, Miranda Ray and John Hope, thank you so much for taking some time with us. We're really excited to see your performances, to follow your work, and you know, it was my honor to be able to have this conversation with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, like I said earlier this week, I caught up with BAM's founder, Catherine Morris, and the opener of the Amplify the Soul series, Danny Rivera Jr. And here's my conversation with them.
I founded it in 2015 at a time where I felt like I didn't see programs or large scale events that really represented and amplified Black culture, identity, and talent and heritage and culture. And so I wanted to create something that would live beyond me and give current and future generations the opportunity to hone in on their crafts, to build with their community, and to grow their creativity and their business side of things.
I'm a part of this nation, so full and free.
It is here. Music is here. We don't have to leave to go to another state. We don't have to go to Atlanta. We don't have to go and move to LA. Boston is where it's at.
You know, given the decrease of cultural events, mega events in our city, we're one of the last few fighting to ensure that local artists, Black communities, businesses have the opportunity to recover, still have the opportunity to rejoice and be in unity with each other, and still work on continuously shaping the identity and culture and communities of Boston. We are at the beginning of that ride, and our platform, our festival particularly, helps to shape that narrative that one, Black and brown people do live here, that we do have a bustling arts, culture, and music scene, that there are small businesses here that offer all the cultural elements that anyone that is coming to the city has to offer, and that this is how we deliver Boston style, the emphasis on what it means to be from Boston. But it's memorable content that you can take with you, right? If you want to brag about, well, Boston has this, you can show them that video several times over. and encourage people to comment and and leave their feedback or leave positivity. For me personally, I just want folks to recognize that joy is possible, and that looking internally and allowing music to penetrate your soul, it is the gift that we're giving to everybody with this content.
It is possible for us to live in a just system where everyone is filled with joy and there are opportunities available to all of us. It's possible.
What do we need?
I'd like to thank all of my guests for this very special show highlighting the BAMS Fest Amplify the Soul series that already begun on Friday and continues through August. This is Common Narrative. Follow us on all our social media sites, commonnarrative.media, Narrative Common on Twitter, and of course, our Facebook and Instagram at Common Narrative. I'm Crystal Haynes. And remember, knowledge is power and power is change. We'll see you next time. And by the way, again, go to bamsfest.org to check out the entire series every Friday night at 8 p.m. We'll see y'all next time.
Amplify your soul. I don't know where you are right now, but I need you to clap your hands like this. Come on. Woo. Listen, the end of the night, we should sing goodbye, but we're dancing to the same old song. I ain't felt like this before. We friends or something more. Can't stay too long, call me wrong. Think it's best if we play no games. I don't wanna love you more than you love me. Yeah, baby, if you say you want me, maybe we can love if you ain't gonna leave. If you don't mind, will you let me know? I got a place where